What's going on today, guys? My name is Russell, and you're watching The Bible Man. If you're new to this channel and like the content I make here, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and turn on all notifications for any future updates here on my channel. And if you feel like supporting me in any way, shape, or form, you're welcome to go ahead and do so. Links are in the description box below. There you can support me on Patreon. At Patreon, you can donate $1 a month, or $5 a month, or even $20 a month. It doesn't matter. It could be any dollar amount. The choice is yours. Now on today's video. So, on the topic of marriage, we live in a culture where people are so lost and people are so confused on many different topics. Surprisingly, what it means to have a relationship or what marriage is just so happens to be one of those topics. Surprisingly, in order to have a successful relationship, you have to have the ability to compromise and have open communication, trust, respect, and be there for each other and be empathetic towards each other's situations in life. The sad part is a lot of people aren't willing to do that. And as a result, data polls and statistics show by 2030, 45% of women are going to be without a man and most likely single without the possibility of ever finding a relationship. What can you do to fix that? Well, for one, stop being so prideful. Number two, compromise. Open yourself up and be more vulnerable around somebody you truly think you may have a chance with. But why take my word for it? That's why I'm making this video today. I already know 90% of women here in the United States today, more like 45%, but who cares? It's still a bad number, are going to be without a lady, or without a man, man without a lady, or lady without a man, or vice versa. But who says I can't be the good guy here and give you guys a good helping hand? Now, I'm going to do this from two ways. I'm going to give you most likely the worldly way of advice, and then I'm going to give you what I think God would want. So I'm going to go ahead and lower my camera, and then I'm going to switch my camera to the computer right here. So this was the first article I pulled up. Now, is this article true? Question mark. I really don't know. Alright. Let's see. 8 reasons guys don't want relationships anymore. Let's see what they have to say and see if there's any truth to it. Are you finding that you are pursuing dating and dating men, and it feels like it's going nowhere? Do you want a relationship but it feels impossible to find? We're going to explore 8 reasons why guys seem to don't want a relationship with anyone and how you can get their attention back. We'll go through some of the top reasons why men gave up on dating, and ladies, perhaps we can learn something from this approach too. Maybe. You know, there's this old saying, those who choose to learn new things, but those who choose to learn new things and don't learn from the things they learn and keep on living the way they're living, didn't learn anything but useless knowledge. But those who learned new things and applied it to their life were better for it. I'm going to repeat that. Just those who learned to learn new things and didn't do anything with the knowledge became fools because they didn't use the knowledge they have. Now, those who use the knowledge they learned became wiser and made better decisions in your life. Relationship number one, relationships can feel challenging. I'm not going to deny there is some truth to that. When you enter a dating relationship with someone, it can require a great deal of commitment and compromise. That's the key word there. Commitment and compromise. Ladies, if you want a good relationship, you must be willing to learn that. Commitment and compromise. You can't learn that, you're never going to have a relationship. I was told that most women, their dream is to get married and have kids one day. You can kiss that goodbye if you cannot learn commitment and compromise. You want kids? Kiss that goodbye. You want marriage? Kiss that goodbye. Well, unless you're willing to sleep with somebody outside of marriage, which would be a sin, then you're on the wrong channel. Because we both know here that if you are a Christian, you will learn commitment and compromise if you want a successful relationship that leads to marriage, and save yourself for marriage and have kids and have a successful marriage in the future with kids in the family and start a family of your own. Sure, attraction is there, but as soon as we get close to someone romantically, sexually, number one, you shouldn't be having sexual activity while you're dating in the first place. But let's keep going. And they enter our day-to-day life, it can get a little risky. Of course it's going to get risky. You're having sexual activity with your partner that you just started dating, or you've only been dating for 11 months. Our partners can have different experiences than us, and they can start to cross boundaries. Well, once you start to cross boundaries, once you get to the period of crossing boundaries through sexual activities, you got to make a choice in the relationship or tie the knot and get married. That we aren't ready for or prepared for. Relationships brings up a great deal of learning, but it's also conflict. It's easier to date someone for a short amount of time and then back away before any drama or conflict starts. As a Christian, you cannot avoid conflict. That's number one. That's huge. You must learn to overcome conflict, resolve conflict, and learn to grow and mature when conflict arises so you don't hurt the other person. And learn to reconcile, forgive, and forget, and come up with a solution to solve the problem. If you want to build a relationship with someone, it requires a great deal of communication and effort and humility and humbleness in our heart to truly try to understand how someone else is thinking about and feeling about you. Relationships can feel like a whole lot of work. Yes, relationships can feel like a whole lot of work. And let's not forget the idea that any relationship requires two people to make it happen. Men seem to be stirring away from relationships as if they are allergic to them. Irony. Yes, men, I can actually relate there. Men seem to be staring away from relationships as if they're allergic to them. I'm going to give you some of my personal experiences. Occasionally, I would go on Instagram, and I would personally try to talk to people on Instagram, and they have reality. They have a set of reality about dating that they've been lied to through the culture norms. There's a certain way to behave and act if you're Christian and dating a Christian person. And I don't think, let's go back to the first point. Sexual activity should be explored 11 months into dating. In fact, you shouldn't be exploring sexual activity at all while you're dating. You should wait until you're married. There's too many risks involved. And a lot of men are stirring away from relationships and as if it's an allergy because the implications and women have. They want to be treated like a queen, but they don't want to treat the man like a king. They want the men to pay for the bill, but they're not going to give anything in return. They want men to show what they bring to the table, but they don't want to bring anything to the table in return. They want men to provide for them, but they don't want to provide anything back, and only use their body as a means of a bargaining tool. They want to basically use every double standard they get. They want to hang out with their friends at the club, but they won't let their man hang out with his friends at the club. I can go on and on and on, and this is basically the world we live in. When you've been lied to by the world without filtering out everything from the Bible, from God's point of view and God's lens, you're going to get what we have here. Everything wrong with this first paragraph shows you how lost the world is when it comes to relationships. And it's no wonder a lot of men are turning away from relationships, because men and women are lost on what the foundation of relationships really are, and how the union between one man and one woman was originally initiated in the first place. When the United States took God out of schools and the United States as a country pushed God aside, we started to stir away from the truth and foundations and teaching of the Word of God, and we started implicating our own philosophy and our own teachings about relationships that only leaves us lost and confused about what to do next. And as a result, we have an issue where a lot of women can't even find a successful relationship that leads to marriage. And even if they did, the marriage will probably last no more than like 25 years and then end up in a divorce, which is even sadder. So I'm going to go to the last point of point 1. It can be much easier to date someone for a short time and move on. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, they're in fact, the entire thing of point 1 sounds like a combination of marriage and dating, as if they're merging into a fusion. And it shouldn't be that way. There's a certain element in work and process. You go from friendship to dating to marriage. It works in a certain way to where it lasts longer. Just talk to any boomer or somebody from Gen X who's been married for 20 years. They'll tell you what I mean. Here's another thing. The friend zone has less drama. Okay. I hate this topic. Oh, this brings me to my next point. A lot of women complain, where are the good men at? I'm going to go just highlight a single word. Women always say where the good men are at. The good men who treat them like queens. The good men who's willing to go to hell and back for them. The good men who's willing to do anything for them. You know what? You want to know exactly where the good men's at? Because women will be in complete denial of this. Every single woman who sees this part of the video will say, no, this isn't true. But it's 100% true. In the friend zone. If you've been in friend zone, it's not because she doesn't love you. It's not because she doesn't have feelings for you. It's because she doesn't know how to have a relationship. She doesn't know how to commit. She doesn't know how to compromise. And therefore, because she doesn't know how to commit and she doesn't know how to compromise, her worldview on a relationship is void. And she lives in darkness. And she's not ready for a relationship. And while you want a relationship with her, she is not worth it to you. Men easily put women into the friend zone way too often. I would say that's the other way around. I think women put men into the friend zone way too often. So I think this is a little backwards. You told me to correct you. Well, I'm correcting you, lady of this author. You know the places where they stuck you as your sidekick. They left waiting for you to see them as a potential mate, not just as someone to chat with on the weekends. They enjoy your company, but they don't want to commit to you externally or put any effort into you to know you or to be intimate on an intimate level with you. Okay. So it can make sense why men don't want relationships anymore. What just happened here? If this is the case for them, it is easier to be affectionate and have fun with friends than no complications or complicated matters by bringing in experiences or marriages, long-term commitment, and deep relationships. I completely disagree. If you truly love somebody, you will commit, you will compromise, you will pick up your cross that's given to you, and you will want to spend your life with that person. It doesn't matter what the excuses are. In fact, it doesn't matter what anything on this article says. There's no excuse. If you truly love somebody, you will eventually love that person, and it's a weird feeling. It's hard to explain. But love can also be one-sided. For instance, I fell in love with somebody, but she didn't love me. So I let her go out of my life. But let's say I loved the person and she loved me back and the love was true. There's no excuse. There's nothing this article can say why you can't just go from that moment straight into marriage. My mom did it. They dated, got into a relationship, and married all in 1 year. Gloria, Greg, the owners of my group home, dated one day, got married 2 weeks next. They knew. When you truly love somebody, you know they're the one. People value their freedom. In placing someone in the friend zone, it means you can still be quite close with somebody without having a deal with the ins and outs of a romantic relationship. I agree with that part, but at the same time, I disagree. People value their freedom. Placing someone in the friend zone, it means you can still be quite close with someone without having a great deal with the ins and outs of a romantic relationship. Because let's say you weren't in the friend zone, let's say you were dating, and time went on, there could be times where you're both working, and the romantic part isn't there, and you guys feel like more like distant friends rather than partners who are dating. So it could be both. It doesn't matter if you're in the friend zone or dating. If you truly love them, without taking a risk in life, and I think that's the problem. A lot of people are too afraid of conflict. Too many people are too afraid to take a risk, and they don't know how to risk everything for the person they love, so they rather remain in the friend zone, and because of that, they wind up losing out in return. I think that's a large part of why people get friend zoned. They rather stay in their comfort. They don't want to take a risk and face conflict head on. Meanwhile, that didn't even cross my mind. I took every risk possible. I did everything you can possibly think of, only to lose my friend in the process. But that was just a risk I had to take. There is too much pressure to find in the perfect match. No, there's not. No, there's not. I'm going to tell you why. The perfect match, if God has the one for you. And what do I mean by that? You know it's the one if the person is following God, living by God's law, and living a good, holy, and righteous life and practicing righteousness. If the person brings you closer to God, and God brings you closer to, uses you to bring her closer to God as well, then she is the one. Of course, there's other factors to put in play, like attraction and beauty and other things, but when it comes to God, it shouldn't come down to there's too much pressure to figure out who's the perfect match, because there's not a lot of pressure. You just judge the person based on God's moral standard, the Word of God, and you know if that person's a match or not for your life. That's the difference between the world and Christians. We can base somebody, if they're a good match for us, based off the Word of God. The world can't. Many men face pressure to find someone completely compatible with them, or find the perfect match for them in their life. One of the most common reasons guys don't want a relationship anymore is that they one of the reasons they don't want a relationship anymore is that they are tired of the constant struggle of finding someone who is just like them. Perhaps they want to share unique aspects of their life with their partner, and you can't give that to you. Who can't give that to you? Many men feel like their lives need to be complicated or compromised with their partner, or else they don't want to get into a relationship with them at all. When you're dating someone new, it can be useful to get to know them, to meet them halfway, or to share interests and qualities with them. You might want to match up perfectly. However, if you don't have anything in common with you or your interests, it can quickly become a one-sided relation. I just covered this in my last video. Come on, man. Alright, I'm going to summary this in one word. Grow up. Grow up. That's how you can resolve this. There's too much pressure to find the perfect one. Grow up. That's how you fix this. Nobody's the same as the next. Nobody has the same values. Nobody has the same beliefs. Nobody has the same likes. Nobody has the same taste in food. Nobody has the same taste in music. You may have the same taste in music. You may have the same taste in food, but there's always going to be something somebody else doesn't like compared to you. Grow up. It's not about if you're compatible with that person or not. It's about growing up. That's the dumbest reason I heard. Single life is great. No lies here. The pursuit of single life may be one reason why men are shying away from relationships. It's easy to see the appeal of life, undisturbed by expectations and responsibilities, where you can be your person. All the decisions you can make on your own. You have no one to take care of you. Your money is your money, and your responsibilities are your limits. You can go out and enjoy a date. Well, that would destroy the whole purpose of having a relationship or being single. You can go out and enjoy a date. Nah, man. The article just contradicted itself. Like, I'm going to keep on going. And not have to worry about caring of someone, having someone take advantage of you. Not gonna lie, that happens a lot. I know too many people, I myself, have been taken advantage of, and I think that's a huge factor. Or having people lie to you to gain from you your life work and efforts. Sadly, that is a sad reality. But bear in mind that just because a single life might seem more appealing doesn't mean it's better for you. For an example, yes, it does. Every time I ever open my heart, I've been hurt, I've been betrayed, and I've been stabbed in the back. Especially towards the woman I fell in love with. For an example, living a single life may provide you with experiencing love and support that comes with it. I may have misread that, so I'm going to skip this one and you guys can correct me in the comment section with this. Sure, there is an upside to this. You don't have to compose, but there are also downsides to be considered. You may not have anyone to talk to or talk with. Your feelings are low, or someone is to share your success. When you're an achiever, sometimes it's amazing. Sure, your friends can provide some of these things, but they'll never provide anything like love and support and empathy. I'm not going to lie, that is true, but unfortunately, that's mostly women's fault. They're too afraid of conflict. They're too afraid to resolve issues and rise to the occasion. They're too afraid of compromise. They're too afraid of a commitment. They don't know how to look at a relationship from a biblical world point of view. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know what they have, and when it's gone, they still don't know what they have. The world is lost, and this is just one of many articles where I have been researching, and the world is lost. Most women have been sold a lie. If you are independent and self-sufficient, you don't need a man. And a lot of women who've been sold that lie seem to believe in that lie and wind up never finding a partner until they're 30. But by the time they're 30, men don't want women anymore. Women around that age. Because they wasted their entire life believing they were pursuing their career, they were pursuing college, they were doing this, doing that, when they could have been living their best lives while they were doing that. Alright, you guys can pretty much see where this is going. A lot of this basically tells us what's wrong with the world. So, I can go all day. So how can we really fix this? How can we really fix this? And that's the question. You want to know how you can fix this. Allow the man to pursue you. Look at the example of the book of Ruth. Yordi, I'm busy.
What?
I'm busy.
I didn't knock on your door. I'm not even near your door.
Alright. Yeah, so basically the best example to fix what's going on in the world is read the Bible. Examine how God views marriage. Read the book of Ruth, 1 Corinthians, Song of Solomon, Matthew chapter 19, the book of Genesis. Examine how God viewed marriage. When you examine God's word and God's commands towards marriage and relationships, and how people in the Old Testament and people in the New Testament got together and got into a relationship, we can learn a lot from just studying the approach on how the women allowed the men to pursue and how the men pursued. And it all follows back into one point. Loving God, loving your neighbors, and God's love towards us. My name is Russell, and you're watching The Bible Man.